Here's the thing. There are way too many chiropractors that are just miserable in practice.
All right, Genesis Nation, I am super excited to introduce to you this awesome human. Dr. Jodi Dinnerman is not only a chiropractor. I mean, that's your foundation, right? That's what's got us together. You're an author, you're a coach, entrepreneur, mom, CrossFitter. I would say just, excuse my language, badass human. So
Oh,
we've had the pleasure of meeting very recently and just connected well. And I really wanted to introduce you and your organization, Staffless Practice, to Genesis Nation. So
thank
you're
you.
also a practicing chiropractor, not just someone who's running around from show to show. So that makes it even more relevant because you are on the front lines working with patients on a daily basis. So tell us about you, Jodi.
Well, thank you. And I'm excited to get to know the Genesis Nation. I don't know much about your community, and I'm excited to see that change. I've been a chiropractor for 24 years, and I've served, the last time I counted, somewhere around 250,000 adjustments.
Wow.
And I love chiropractic, and I I got into our profession by accident, and it changed my life. We all have that story, right? And um I kind of never looked back, and I was about 20 when that happened.
Wow.
And o- my my progress in practice, in private practice, left some work to be done. I learned very quickly that managing a team was not my strong suit at that time. I've since become really good at it, because I had to, because we do what we have to do. But I spent a lot of time in practice suffering
Mm.
because I really love people, and I really had a hard time balancing being the practitioner and the boss at the same time. And it became very clear to me that I needed to figure out how to run my practice without staff. So
Mm.
I did, and I got really good at it, having a busy family practice without staff in the office with me. And then the pandemic hit, and all of my friends came knocking on my door asking me what to do. How do I do this with the phone and the payments and the scheduling? And I started sharing. And that was 4 years ago at the time this is being recorded. And now we have 4 books and a school and an app being made. And it's turned into this incredible experience, and a team of, at this time, 14 people, which is ironic too.
Wow. And I
Yeah.
love that you've gone through an evolution, and it's just
Yeah,
a
big time.
beautiful thing to be able to, one, be vulnerable enough to share where your weaknesses were, and then also be smart enough back at the point when it was needed to adapt to.
Yeah, my weaknesses were breaking me. My subluxations in my life and my practice were breaking me because I would find these amazing people. They were amazing. The associates that worked for me and the women that worked at my front desk, I just didn't know how to manage them, and I didn't have the bandwidth to learn. And I'm always of the mindset, like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I never went and studied management. They didn't teach me it in school. So it truly was this main subluxation in my practice. And when I removed it, when I gave it a beautiful adjustment that it was ready for, the whole world opened up as far as joy in practice is concerned. And here's the thing. There are way too many chiropractors that are just miserable in practice.
Yes,
And that is definitely
it's a
a
pandemic.
common thread.
It's a
It's a
pan.
pandemic within our profession, but it's also outside of our profession.
Yep.
But specifically in our profession, and we're dealing with like innate and universal, and what we do is love and joy. Like our thread, right?
Yeah.
So I really want to see my little corner of the big world make a dent while I'm here, while I can. And that's my why. And I'm
And
hungry for it.
your MTP, your massively transformative. Uh, oh my goodness, I forgot the P word because it's not process. Massively transformative. I'm going to come back and circle back with that, but
I want to know what it is now.
you have to look it up.
Please.
It's from Peter Diamandis.
Okay.
So
Oh,
when I get like a more in-depth podcast, I'll have a computer guy next to me, but I can't fast enough check the computer for it. But I'm going to circle back with you,
right.
and we'll put it in the show notes for sure.
But
Um,
that thing,
Massively transformative purpose. Got it. MTP.
that's
Sorry.
it, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's for this project for sure.
you're a visionary. It's really cool to see that. There's a couple of things I want to dive into. One is always this question that and a subject that is important for me to understand is the difference between leadership and management. I met you within the first couple minutes. I didn't know if you were a good manager or not. I could feel your leadership. Like I knew you were just a
Thank
leader
you.
and liked
Thank
and
you.
empathic and just cozy and comfortable and cool. What
Right.
How do you differentiate leadership and management?
Oh my God, it's a totally different thing. The idea I mean, the book Who Not How changed my life. I learned so much from that book. Dan Sullivan, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing book. And basically where I'm at now, I'm doing these huge projects or starting them at least, and then saying to myself, instead of asking, how do I get this done? I ask, who can get it done for me?
Mm,
And to have people running alongside of me who I don't have to teach them how to do it, they could teach me how to do it. But the hardest part is figuring out when it comes to private practice, what is the what that I'm trying to satisfy. So if I'm trying to satisfy new patients, or I'm trying to satisfy getting my office visit average up, or whatever my goal, being better at my hands-on experience, whatever my goal is, being more present, being more fit, being a better mom, whatever, right? I have to get super clear, like see myself in that role, in that experience, and then I can start asking the questions, who's going to help me get there?
mm,
And the who of it is the people who have figured out the solution. I've figured out the solution for running a practice without staff. I'm really good at it. And I have fun with it, and it's easy and it's joyful and all of that. So when people start scratching their heads and they're like, how the hell am I going to run my practice without somebody sitting at the front desk? I'm the who for that, because I figured it out and I could run circles around you telling you how to do it, right? When I go into a leadership role, I just want people alongside of me. And I used to think that it needed to be a micromanagement situation.
yeah.
And I would find, again, these amazing people. Most of them were women who I had a lot of respect for. I liked them personally. And I would try to corner them into this micromanaged role, and they couldn't breathe and they ended up leaving.
Yeah.
And it just kept happening, and it was insane because I didn't realize that there was a difference between micromanaging and finding your who. And now we just hired a new accounts receivable person for our team. She could teach me the book on accounts receivable.
Yeah.
I don't want to teach her. I teach her what I want, and I say, go. And this is the flashcard that I'll know that what you're doing is effective for my team. That's the important part. And then if we don't have the bandwidth to look at the flashcard to say, like, for example, if you have a bookkeeper, and there are basic things that I want to know. I want to know that my bookkeeper is honest. I want to know that she doesn't have a criminal record background.
Yeah.
I want to know that she loves chiropractic. That's important to me. Um, Other than that, I just want to know that she's a really good bookkeeper. So I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to tell her what my expectations about it are. And then I'm going to figure out a way with her how I will know that she's doing her job efficiently, like above efficiently, right? And that's different for every role on my team.
So there's a lot
Is
of
that fair? Yeah.
that is fantastic. And there's just like I keep pulling on threads every like each conversation we're having here. So
Yeah.
I love what you said, and I haven't read that book, but I know of it. Not
Hmm.
asking yourself always not how do I get this problem done? Who do I need? Now, oh, there you go. Thank you. And I
There
know
it is. Yeah.
Dan Sullivan and Doctor, I think I have the book, so I gotta just get into it.
It's awesome.
Is there a distinction between who you need to recruit, whether it's outsource, insource, or is it more of a question of like who you need to be in order to get this done?
Yes. And yes.
Okay.
You have to do your work to know what you want. the hardest thing about being successful in practice is knowing what you want. If you don't know who you are and the way that you move through the world, if you haven't taken a good look in the mirror and said, I'm sorry to people that you need to, and cleaned up your stuff and gotten your health in order and created your vision, like worked on you, right? How are you possibly going to know what you want? Because it's like if someone's subluxated, everything's distorted. And
Yeah.
once we get and you guys, I know that it's an analogy that we hear over and over, but it's truth. My truth, anyway, like my practice, if there's a subluxation in my practice, everything's tainted by it. Just like if we have a subluxation of C2, everything's tainted by it. There's no part of our body that isn't. The same is true for our practice. And I had to learn really the hard way, that my practice is a spiritual reflection of who I am and where I am in my path as a person on the planet. And sometimes I go to the office and I come home and I say to my husband, I earned every penny today. Like today was work. Most of the time when I go to my practice, I'm like, this is like a freaking party. I'm being paid to do this because I've got baby's feet up my nose and there's music going, I'm holding the baby. There's a mama, breastfeeding in the corner. It's a party. Sometimes I'm not up for it because I haven't taken care of myself.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's the best part of my day because I'm not dealing with the phone and the person at my desk giving the wrong message you know, it's very important to me that people know that symptoms are an important part of the process. I don't expect people to think that I'm going to fix them because that's not what I do as a chiropractor. So it was over and over, no matter what I said, no matter how I trained them, I would still hear, are you feeling better after your adjustment? I really want the question to be asked, are you feeling more? What are you experiencing?
That's awesome.
It's not my place to judge your
That little
experience.
that
So
little distinction, that's huge. I
come
love that.
on, right? I don't know if they should be feeling better.
Right.
I know that they should be feeling more
Yeah.
connected, because that's what we do, right?
Awesome.
So the joy in practice for me now is the freedom that I experience. And there's nobody I don't even have a front desk, but all of my admin is taken care of for me in a compliant virtual way. So that's key for me. That brings joy to me.
Love it.
Is that fair?
That's totally fair. Like I'll put a bow on that part of our conversation. I'll cap it with the concept. And have you heard of this? Be, do, have.
Mhm.
So like that's how I live my life, is like, what do I want to have? And I reverse engineer it into who I need to be. So it
There
fits.
it is.
And a lot of these concepts, like they intertwine together. It's just how does it resonate with you so that you can make significant change in your life? Bottom line
And
is,
also,
yeah,
I do want to say one more thing. There are some practice. The irony is now I get calls every day of people who say, I have a team of 5. I have 3 CAs. I have 2 doctors working with me, right? Or that would be 6. You got to help. So
yeah,
now we go in and we triage with teams and we say, let's get everyone in their lane of genius, because having the right person at your front desk is is king. Like it could be
yeah,
amazing.
the gatekeeper.
If you're not the gate 150%, but you have to have the right person at the front desk.
Yeah.
If she or he are grumpy and they're not into health and they don't think what you do is the next best thing since sliced bread, there's a subluxation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am curious. You said staff less, and we're talking about a person at the front desk, a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Uh, can you give me the definition of staffless as how you?
Less staff doing what is not the best use of their time.
Okay, so it doesn't mean an
Efficiency.
absence. It doesn't mean an
Yeah.
absence of staff. It means less staff.
Less staff doing what's not the best use of their time. If you have somebody sitting at your front desk, they need to feel like a warm chocolate chip cookie. They need to be the person that you want to see when you're walking into a doctor's office.
Yeah.
They need to be the person you want to hand your newborn baby to when you go get on the table to get adjusted. That's the person that should be at the front desk. If they're answering your phone, they need to be They need to have the most beautiful, lovely experience of a voice. And they need to know what to say to somebody who says, well, why do I have to come forever? Right? They need to understand at a core level why what you're doing is so important. If they're doing your landscaping or your billing, not necessarily warm chocolate chip cookie, but they need to get why accuracy and beauty is important to you. They need to understand why numbers need to be right. They need to understand how honest you are. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
we figure out what are the important pieces that we need
You
for
as a
our team.
manager and an owner and the
Uh,
leader. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? At this point, I don't even manage. I have a manager.
Mm.
She manages. I have a manager for my virtual assistants for staffless practice. I have a manager for my coaches for staffless practice because I'm not a manager at all.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I have big ideas
Yeah.
and I'm hungry to get them satisfied. If I spend my time managing, those ideas are never going to come to fruition. Most of the people listening to this are probably really passionate about being in practice and want to be successful
Yeah.
and are tired. They're tired of their wheels spinning, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to somebody talk about a staffless practice. So what I'm going to say to you is find your lane of genius and look at the people around you who are supporting you and find a way to get them into their lane of genius. The only other analogy I really love to share is if I have Barb sitting at my front desk and she has a master's in art therapy and she's doing the billing for my practice, but she's also doing the social media, she's holding the baby, she's answering the phone, and she's cleaning the toilets. Not her lane of genius. Her lane of genius is art therapy. Right. So how can I use that talent and make my practice better with it? That's where we reorganize.
So where is the defining line between doing those things that are not your lane of genius and your lane of genius? Like what I see is like the ultimate evolution of being in business is like to only be in your lane of genius, right? Like
Right.
for you, your lane of genius is being the visionary and seeing the big vision.
What are the parts that don't bring you joy? What are the parts that you hate doing? And as far as your team is concerned, don't let them practice being a genius on your time. They're either there or they're not. And if they're not there, that's cool. Give them a different job where they are. Everybody's great at something,
Yeah.
right? So if I have somebody in a sales position for my practice and they're super loyal and they really understand why what I do is important, but they suck at sales, I'm going to move them to being the person who greets my practice members or maybe even do new patient consultations on the phone
Yeah.
because they get what I do, right? Um, I also love the concept of hands and minds. So some people on our teams are hands. They can copy and paste. They can take the garbage out. They don't necessarily need to be doing critical thinking for what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's a lower ticket item. Here's what I see happen often. Okay. I see chiropractors specifically hire minds, people who are doing critical thinking for our practice, who are assigned hands work and paid for hands work. So
Which
they're being paid
recipe,
$15 an hour.
which is a recipe for burnout or
Come on, you guys. No, a
yeah.
mind person on your team, in my world, minimum $25 an hour.
Mm.
Easy. A hands person on my team, it can either be done, remotely with a VA who charges appropriately for it. Um, it's who, if you have Barb at your front desk and she is brilliant with insurance and bookkeeping, that's what she should be doing for your practice.
And that's it.
Do you get it? And
Yeah.
that's a 25 to 35 to 40, $50 an hour job,
Got it.
not a 15 to $18 an hour job.
So what's your without giving away all the secret sauce because you are a coach and have this organization where you do help people learn this and this is high level here. Like how do you determine that staff person? Like do you have
Right.
personality
So
or is it a skill set? How is that scalable for you?
we actually have a whole course on it. It's called Team of One, WON.
Oh,
It's so I just want to back up a minute.
yeah.
Um, the Staffless Practice Success System is 12 steps. It's a 12-step program for the joy of practice, right? And the 12th step is what we call wise counsel. That's where we look at team.
Okay.
The first 11 steps are about getting your act together with what you do with the phone and the schedule and the money and the office space. The last step is bringing in staff. Once you've got your systems right, then you bring in staff. I also will say that the 12th step is the only one that can pop in different places, because you might be on step 3, which is figuring out what to do with the physical space of the office, and recognize very quickly that you need an interior designer, right? That would be bringing in a wise counsel to help you with step 3. But what I find often is people will come to me and they'll be like, I need to grow my practice right now. That's step 10.
Yeah.
Right. There are 9 steps before then. What
Yeah.
are you doing with your phone? What does your website look like? If you bring in chaos, if you bring new people into a system of chaos, what's going to happen? They're going to be chaotic and they're going to drop out the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's a system based on my experience in practice, which is part of the reason why I'm still in practice. I'm not in practice to make money. I'm in practice because I love chiropractic. I truly believe that people are better when they're not subluxated. And I also, it's my classroom. It's where I see, because practicing now is much different than practicing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We're in a different place, and pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, very different experiences of being in practice, especially as a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Especially as a principal chiropractor, right? It's because there's a lot of fear, and the fear has a body of its own in practice with most people. Some of our people are like, oh my God, just give me hugs and kisses, right? But a lot of people come in and they're really freaked out. They're still freaked out. So it's another layer that we're working through when we go to, how do we answer the phone? Do we answer the phone? Do people want to text us? Which they do, you guys. They don't want to have a phone conversation about moving their appointment from 4:15 to 4.
No.
They want to shoot you a quick text.
Yeah.
That's post-pandemic.
Yeah. Which is
I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No,
I have a lot to say, apparently.
This is your interview. You do, and you have a lot to share. And one of the qualities I most appreciate about you, even in our short time knowing each other, is you have you're extremely empathic, and that's a gift, obviously, that you probably have had way before you even became a chiropractor. So you're helping people feel more, not feel better, quote unquote. And I think we could talk for hours. I am gonna, give us the time. But is there any like finishing kind of final ideas about, because there's such disparity in chiropractors. You've got so many ranges, right? And where I see you fitting is with everybody. There is no distinction. I know you're focused more.
It's so funny because most of the time I'm like, where are my people? Like, I feel like maybe I can mold and yield to a lot of communities, but most of the time I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand what I'm seeing right now.
Right.
As far as being an empath is concerned, I feel like we all have that.
Yes.
We choose to turn it off at times, right? And I think that one of the biggest distortions in our profession is we don't trust our guts. And the more you can trust your gut, because your practice is your baby. It's your child. Right now, my practice is 24. So what is that? My practice is an adult. Still, I have to trust my gut.
Leave the nest.
Goodbye. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, I don't know. I feel like there are so many people who ask me to coach them. I don't do I only coach our high executive level clients these days. We have a whole team of coaches with Staffless Practice. And there are so many people who want me to give them the script and give them the cookie cutter cliff note version. It doesn't exist
can we burn the scripts? We could light the fire of
I don't even have them, you guys.
They're out. I know.
The healing comes in figuring out your script, and it will change as soon as you figure it out. It'll change.
Love that. And be more present too, so it's not a script. It's empathic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what it is. So high level to finish us up here, to close us out. If there were I'm not going to say that again. A billboard to bring more joy into your practice life, what would you make that statement?
Oh man, say hello to all of it.
Mm.
Pain, the joy,
Can you make that a
the
bumper sticker?
fear.
Because I know you have good handouts at your booth.
We have a love wins bumper sticker, but the biggest thing is say hello to all of it. If you have something scary happening or painful or amazing, just say hello to it and let it be part of your experience. Because when we're white knuckling it's not good for anybody. And also be really kind with your hands. Like, don't, less is so much more. The
Mm.
kinder we are with our hands, people are afraid to get adjusted, which is really sad. And if we can make promises around that, I'm not going to hurt you, Sally. I promise I'm not going to hurt you. I promise I'm going to get to the root of what's going on with you. And if I can't, I promise you I'm going to send you to who can. But I won't waste your time and I won't waste your money, Sally. Make the promises and follow through on them. Those would be my billboard. And
I'm sticking with the first one. I like the other ones. I might
yeah, say hello to it.
say hello to all of it.
Yeah.
Because I could put that in any city, in any country, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm picturing a social media post for you on that one. So
Yeah. Say hello to it. Hi.
keep this recorded.
Oh,
Thank,
here's that again. Hey,
thank you.
you're
Yes,
welcome, my
say hello
friend.
to all of it. I'm going to take that with me. Thank you for a beautiful conversation as always, and I'm looking forward to them continuing. So excited to introduce Dr. Jodi Dinnerman and Staffless Practice to Genesis Nation, and you can find her at various shows. GoStaffless.com is your main website. We'll put everything in the show notes as well, and connect on social media and do all that good stuff. Thank you for your leadership in the profession. I
You're very cool, my friend, and
oh,
I'm
thank you.
very excited that I got to meet you. And
Likewise.
you're such a Jersey boy.
Oh, totally. 100%, including the art band tattoo. It's just there. I got to wear sleeves on this podcast, but otherwise,
No,
you
you don't. You
all
can just
right.
take it off.
I
Go
can go
ahead.
sleeves. Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.